Okay.
Then you hit the record.
I did. Yes, recording.
It's doing its thing.
Awesome. Okay. So I can just show you like a bunch of different ways that I use Canva, and that way you know like the possibilities are endless. Like you can use this for so many things, and then if you want to jump into some of the ways you use it, I pulled up a bunch of different examples. So you might recognize this. This was our DIY night little flyer. Like, you know, this is just a preset design that I found. I use it also to get people to download my app. I created this little flyer and I have it at my open houses. Again, that was a preset design. I just customized it to make it my own. We'll go over that one last. I did a giveaway on my Facebook page. So I created a little collage of all the things I was giving away. You can do it for Snapchat filters. So this is really cool. If you use Snapchat, this is like a little like filter that you can put over your image that you take. So if you have a client party, it's a little fun thing that people can use. I used it to make my sister's graduation announcements. This was, let's see, a little flyer that I did for a listing that I had sold. Another client appreciation event invite. This is a little thing. I give this to some of my clients if I want to throw a housewarming party for them. I just attach this to their closing gift. A photo collage. If you're hosting an open house, you can put this on your Facebook ad or whatever. This is a mailing I did to my farm. And then this is like, you can use it for Facebook event covers, your page cover. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Tom's using it to make images, little like graphics for his website. That's awesome. So.
Hey, getting your start out, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you have an idea, and I've used it on just the free side.
Mm-hmm.
I did the simplest thing in there. I said, okay, Instagram post. Go to Instagram post, find what's free. Take this thing and fix some, try to make something out of it in a rudimentary way. So I told Drew that the class, I think I'm like the second grade level. Move up to,
You'll go from second grade to high school in like seconds.
But do you start with go find this type of flyer?
Yes.
So you're looking for a certain design?
Yes.
Like cosmetically, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. So if I know that I need to create a photo collage for Instagram, just like you said, I'm going to look at Instagram posts. If I need to create a banner for my Facebook page, I think it's like under social graphics or something. So you kind of have to look through what their templates are, and I choose the template based on what I'm going to make. So what I'll show you is this is my flyer for all the open houses that I host. I use the same flyer every single time. Keep it consistent. Keep your branding consistent. Not that this is really on brand with my current brand, but I need to update it some. But anyway, all I do is I copy this flyer and I insert new pictures and I edit the text. So in order to do that, we'll just start from the very beginning. You can either type in flyer right in the box and like see what it comes up with. Promotional, photography, and then they're going to have some that are like real estate specific. They have a whole category of real estate flyers. And then you just find the design that you like. This is where
so this is probably where my recommendation would be: figure out what your brand looks like, right? So what is your name? What is your image in the real estate industry going to look like? Find one that works and just stick with that. Change it out. Don't change the colors every time. Don't feel like you've tried it so many times. The people that are seeing it are so cyclical that they're seeing it today. They won't see it again in 6 months because hopefully you've got them under contract. So there is actually a huge benefit to where there's recognition every time. So if you go to Bold, Tony DeCello, Dinah Kokoska's son, has a just listed in the just sold flyer that he uses, and it's black and white, and it's the exact same thing. It's so basic, but it's just marketing the exact same thing. So people, when they start to see your flyer, they start to associate that it's with you. So don't think you have to reinvent it every time to be creative. It's you get your basic imagery down, and then you're done.
Yep.
So if there's an agent in the office that you actually follow that's on Canva, go through some of their folders, and you can see what they've got. And if you see one that you like, change it a little bit so you're not completely pirating them. But I think that's the beauty of Callaway.
I just graduated to about 6th grade right there. Search for real estate, you get a lot more designs.
Yeah.
Figure.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of this is just like playing around with it, looking at what's available. Like I was self-taught. I just went on Canva and I've played with it so many times that I now have the ability to use it pretty well, I feel like.
You've got a different background than a lot of us. Do you map out kind of your idea ahead of time before you get into Canva, or?
Sometimes it depends on what I'm making. Sometimes I let Canva lead me. If I'm like, okay, I need to create my invitation to my client appreciation party, I need to find a template for that. I don't even really know what that looks like, and I just kind of go through the Canva templates until I find one that I like. But if I do have something very specific in mind, like my Facebook giveaway, I was like, I know I need a photo collage. I know that I'm going to have some really long horizontal photos on that, along with some very vertical, tall photos. So I needed to find a photo collage that had that ability to make that work. And I knew I wanted it to be simple and clean and just white background, super minimal. So I went in with those intentions in mind, and I found something that worked for that. So it's a little bit of both.
For me, I find that when I map it out, I don't get sucked in, especially if I'm looking for certain photos. I go to Pixabay or now Pexel, thank you very much. And it's like going to YouTube. If you watch one video on YouTube, all the others come up, and you could be on YouTube for 2 hours watching videos.
That is so true.
So I find that this could be very much the same thing, because you get so enamored with all the creativity that maybe it's just me, but
no. That's a really good point. Don't be this is really, really hard for me, especially tamp down the inner perfectionist. It's going to be okay. At some point you just have to pick a template and go with it. So don't be scrolling forever and ever. So for your flyers, for your open houses or listings or whatever you're using them for, decide, if you want it to be mostly photography, if you want it to be mostly text, if you want it to be about 50-50, if you want it to be front and back, or if you just want it to be front. So for me, I was I just want one page, front only, about half and half text and photographs, because I'm cheap and I'm not going to print front and back flyers for any of my listings or open houses. And so that's how I ended up with my little flyer design that I think I started out with this one. But if you remember what mine looked like, it didn't totally look like this one. I definitely have customized it since then.
So a couple of things to kind of just keep in mind with this is Canva is unlike Michael Lewis. Michael Lewis has all of your legal disclaimers. This doesn't have any of them. So you got to make sure that you put all that on there, the KW logo or the address, all
So
that
we
stuff.
can save those in our desktop or one of
They're actually already there, so all the logos are there.
If you're logged in,
coaching.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All the logos are there, and then you could just find your flyer, and it's already there, or you copy somebody else's that maybe already has it.
All right, so I'm not logged in as Coaching with Drew. I probably should be, but I can still teach you how to do this part. Just know that you'll have way more resources available to you.
You can pull it on a separate tab if you want
Do you want, yeah, I can do that.
Whatever.
I wonder how hard is it to,
Or just create that.
please ignore my like middle school email address. Okay. Oh, there we go. Nope.
Convert.
Okay. Oh, come on. Oh, so it opened that specific one. Okay, so now I'm like totally stumbling here, but we'll find one. Well, what's good about Drew,
Very different than the one I have open right
yeah, Drew's account has all the like paid stuff as well, which is really nice because then you don't have to outsource stock photography and like you can get nicer designs. So maybe let's do this. Let's go back to Canva. We can go create a design, browse all. And I mean, this is where you really see that the possibilities are endless. They have all of these templates already made. So, what is it? I don't know. Marketing, flyer.
That's where you can type in.
now. Yeah, you can type real estate up at the search
Oh,
templates.
yes. There you go. Awesome. We're all learning together.
I really didn't know. I mean, I went to like the templates first, and kind of went backward. You got templates in. Got some great stuff out there. But
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing it does take. That's why I think it's great to use because it is a little bit of a learning curve. But once you get it, you start to. It's actually easier than most flyer software.
Yeah, absolutely. So, trying to find maybe a different one.
fonts. Y'all try to keep the same, like as part of your brand. Do you get that specific where you're one type of font, or does it matter?
Yeah, so for me, I follow the KW font because I like the clean lines. I think that the general rule is 2, max 3 different font styles. Like if you've got a headline or something, you can pop one completely different type of font, but make sure they're kind of going together. You don't want to do like this cursive font that's really hard to read, and then everything else that you've got is modern looking font.
Right.
Like that right there is 2 different fonts. It's more than just big bold. It's probably I won't know what it's called, but
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to stick with the one that I already have because I really like this template. I like that it has the right amount of text and pictures for my personal
white space too.
taste. Yep. So let's see. I'm going to zoom out here. All right, so let's say the first thing I want to do with this is make it on brand with my colors. And for this, we'll just say that my colors are Keller Williams colors. So red, white, black, maybe some gray. So I'd probably start by changing this teal, clicking on this teal box, and you can see that the colors that it currently has included are white and teal. So I'm going to click on that. And this is nice, as it already has some brand colors set up. So I'm going to change that to red. And then probably going to do the same thing for this little, yep. I'll change that to black. And then I'm going to make sure I go through the whole document and change the colors everywhere. We'll say that's red. So that's super easy. You just click on the element, click on the color that you want to change, and click on the new color that you want to include. Next might be the font. So if I want a different font, I just click on that box, and then there's plenty to choose from here. But like, don't choose a font like that. Nobody can read that. Or there are some in here that are like just really obnoxious. Yes. Try
You
to,
see them used all the time.
yeah, yeah. Like even something like really cursive,
That's
I stay away from.
the only way you'd want to do that is if that's like really big.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then,
if you have a
and
good
even then, you
graphic,
might want to put a
that's it.
shadow or something behind it.
You have a good, that home one you did, which is in the.
Yeah.
So I know that my brand, like my logo, my Alex Makes Homes brand logo is Babus New is the name of the font. So luckily I already know that's in here on Canva. So I'm going to select that one. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because it is kind of like the letters are kind of running together here. So I'm going to make the font bigger, but then I also have the ability to change the spacing.
Yep.
So I can change the letter spacing, and I can just kind of play with this dial until I get a spacing that I'm happy with.
Be nice if that would.
I know if it was,
Side where you can actually see it
I
when
could
you
probably,
adjust.
yeah, I could probably get it
Yeah,
there.
you go.
Okay, there we go. So I know I want it to still stick within that box. So maybe I'll go with like that spacing.
And that's it.
But there's plenty more you can do with the font. You can, like I said before, you can change the color. You can make it bold, not bold. I steer away from italics again, just to like make it easier to read on people. You can change the alignment. You can, with certain fonts, you can change the uppercase and lowercase. With this particular font, it's only uppercase letters. You can also do things like change the opacity. So like if I wanted that to be not bright white, I would change the opacity, but I do want it to be bright white. That's another like basic graphic design rule. Your fonts need to be a high contrast color from your background. So if your background is black, your font should be white. If your background is red, maybe your font should be black. You gotta make sure it really stands out, especially because all printers are going to change the color from what you see on your screen anyway. It's never going to be this exact red or, these exact colors. It's going to be whatever that printer comes out with.
I would say too, that's when you want to send it to Office Depot or something to get a better color out of it.
Yes.
I mean, even using the printer downstairs or use the one downstairs or mine at home, which are both good printers, and then I take it to Office Depot and you'll notice the difference between the three.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So go if you were to take your font there and drop it into like the picture itself. Now you've got your color issues. What would you do there?
So this is like a good point. This is something you see a lot, and it's like a big no-no. I try either not to put font on pictures, or if I am, I do drop a little, maybe just like a little line across to be the background. Or you have, again, you can change the color. If you have a gray brick house and there's a big field of gray and you're going to put text on that, like that's fine. That brick is only going to have so much texture to it. Like your font should still stick out. Or if it's an image like this where there's a lot going on and you need your font to stand out, there's a couple of ways around it. If you don't want to drop a big field of color over your picture, you can copy your text and then just overlay it on top of the previous layer of text and offset it like a little teeny tiny bit. So you see how like it's just offset a little tiny bit, and then you make the one on the back, like a different color from the one in front. And that's not a good example. This is not like, this is still not standing out enough.
You could also maybe take that picture and do something with that picture. Like
Yeah.
Take the picture and
put the
adjust your
picture and
transparency.
then
Yeah.
transparency on that.
See, now that stands out pretty well.
Pull that down.
What would you do?
So that's kind of where I was going. Was one of the two ways. I'd either take that or do the shadow with a different color fonts kind of behind it. I try to, and I always try to either stick with white or black. I try not to get color as the shadow. Let the color be the front font, but that's just me. And I really try to make sure that the images that I'm picking are the right images for what I'm trying to do. For me, I also, like, my logo is always dropped in the bottom right-hand corner of the image. So I know, and I pick my photos, that's the area that I'm looking for the most because I want it to be able to stand out. And then the bottom left, I don't want to really distract from the photo itself. I want the bottom left to be for my ad, sold in 5 days, coming soon, just sold, whatever that is. But that's me. That's kind of what I like to see.
Go to his folder and so we can see.
Yeah, yeah.
Home and then. I'm curious what this is saying. So what would be like? That's the one I was thought of with the phone.
So yeah, this one was a good one for the example of kind of how the shadow, because when I first put it on there, I like this color because it's really hot right now, and I knew that people would gravitate to it, but it was really hard to read. And I like, with the white, that one seemed to actually work too well, or pretty well.
And so that's where you took
that
it.
double letter thing going on?
Yeah, it's a double letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in here, I kind of ran into the same issue because I had whites and grays kind of with the cabinetry, but I really like the images of the kitchen instead of the front of the house.
Can you change those KW logos as well?
Yeah.
I know I'm like Luke.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
But I need to add a couple.
Did you do your personal logo on this, or did you have like a?
So I did my logo on Fiverr, which was super cheap. I think it cost me $10, and then I gave them like a $10 tip. FIVERR.com.
Etsy, yeah, I spent a little more money on it. I spent about $100, but I've got all kinds of different logos. I've got my business card. I've got an email signature. I've got, which I can't put on my whatever.
I'll be happy to help.
Do it.
So many. It was worth every penny of $100.
Yeah.
It's just that, a lot of back and forth with the designer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just couldn't.
I mean, for me, I knew kind of what I wanted, so I found a designer that was cheap, but did good work, and I had the quickest turnaround because I wanted it yesterday and not in 3 days.
Do you have to send them a site, right? You have this on your site, right?
You log in.
Mm-hmm.
You can log in there.
Yep.
My trial is up.
Well, no, you can log into that and it's already paid for.
So now you need to put your photography in of your listing that you're doing an open house for.
Yeah, I can put the pictures in there.
And its pictures are right there.
I know.
So here's another thing. Photography, you want like the biggest image you can get. High resolution files, which means you don't want to just go on the MLS and hit right click save for the photos. If you can, you want to ask the agent directly if you can use those photos that they paid for on your flyer. They should be willing to send you the photos because they probably want the flyer to look good at the open house. Yeah. So like this is my original like folder of images for this listing that I'm hosting an open house for. I'm going to go through and find my main picture. Maybe I want it to be this one. And just let that upload. And then I'm going to drop it into this box. Oh, there it is. Okay. And then I'm going to reposition it. So I want like the house more centered. And I'm going to bump that transparency back up. And maybe I want it even more centered. I don't really like that the roof is being cut off. So then I can just drag this whole image down.
The cool thing is when you do that, your guidelines will pop up too to help to make
Yep.
sure that your logos are lining up and everything is kind of
Purple.
got the symmetry
Yep.
that you're looking for.
So you see that like hot pink line is making sure that you're staying centered on the page. It goes solid when you're centered left to right. What you may not notice is that Canva, this template, has automatically applied a filter to my photo. Or maybe it hasn't. But sometimes it does. Sometimes it oh yes, see, it had automatically applied a filter. You might like the way that filter looks. Just make sure that it looks realistic. Like, don't have the house look like sunshine yellow and then it's actually really more of like an off-white. So, but maybe you want to do a little bit of adjusting to your photos. Maybe you feel like this one kind of turned out a little bit gray, and in real life, like the house is a bit more cheery. You can go into adjust and click, back and forth on the brightness, saturation, bump those up a little bit. And you can see the greens are getting a little bit more green. So you can play around with those a little bit, but I highly recommend that you do it very subtly. You don't want to do it too much because you don't want it to look like a fake photo.
Just one of the quick ones. I do a lot of black and white photography and some of the stuff that I use. So just take your saturation, take it right to 0, and it'll take it right to black and white.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go.
Did you go over? I'm sorry, I was late. But
You're
did you
fine.
go over, I was trying to do a flyer and just pull up, the description off the MLS, and I couldn't figure out how to fit that into a text because the text that I saw were just lines.
Yeah, we'll go over some more font
Okay, I just wanted to
related
make sure
stuff.
I did that.
Yeah, for now we found the flyer template, changed the colors. Yeah. Yep. So now I need to go in and I need to change these 3 photos. So I'm going to upload the 3, I would call them like accent photos that I want to feature. So probably like the star of the show rooms. Definitely kitchen is usually going to be one of those. If it has a really nice bathroom, if it has a really nice, front porch or outdoor entertainment area. For me, it's definitely going to be like living room, probably, kitchen, and then maybe bathroom or maybe master bedroom. So let's see. I definitely want to I'll do this living room picture. But as you can see, this picture is a lot bigger than this square, meaning it's a lot wider. So I'm going to have to crop that picture according to what I feel like I really want to show off. So I already know I want to make it bigger because it looks really tiny.
I love Canva that you can just do all that right there.
Yep. So I just enlarged it, and maybe I'd want to show a little glimpse of the kitchen beyond. So I'm going to drag it over, and you just play with it until you feel like you've gotten it right, until you're showing off like the best portion of that image.
Things to kind of, what I look for too is I try to watch how much floor space I'm showing and how much ceiling space. You've got a lot of wasted space in the ceiling. Don't feel like you've got to put all that into your photo. Zoom in on what's really important about the photo. That's just
that's.
Is there a preview option? A preview?
Like if I want to see this full size, I just click this little full screen, and it'll take me. This is what I'm working with so far.
So there it will show you if you have extra space.
I think you're just kind of keeping an eye on your photo because what's happening is as you're playing with the size of that picture, you can see that it's starting to gray out when it's getting outside of that box a little bit, and you know kind of the space that you're working with. So as she's zooming, as she's enlarging the photo, that ceiling space is just kind of going away a little bit.
You can also, this is preset in the template, this little 3 photo triptych, I think is what it's called. But you can, I think you can, well, sometimes you can ungroup things. So like if this were 3 photos,
I think it should put
3 dot.
there we go.
Yeah, unlock.
I think it's ungroup. Lock. So that just made it so that I can't move it, which might be good if you have something that you, that you want to.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. This is like
Maybe
one
it's
thing
not
about Canva, they're always
design.
changing the way it works. But anyway, we'll keep going. So let's see. I would do the same step for these other 2 pictures. I would load in a new picture and just adjust the size of it until I've gotten what I want to show off. I would also make sure that it doesn't have a filter on it that I don't like, and adjust the brightness, contrast, saturation, all that stuff on the photo.
How did you make it black and white?
Saturation.
Saturation.
So this
The other
one.
thing, as we're looking at some of the font, I know you're just paying attention to that, so you can see that you've got a lot of white space there, and it's a well-balanced flyer, so you're not dragging all the, don't feel like you've got to get all your content in there, condense your content just enough. This is supposed to be an appetizer to make people want to buy the steak. So don't change a lot of the formatting as far as the fonts go.
Almost
Yeah,
less.
so if you wanted to see what the whole thing looked like in black and white, can you do that, or is it just one picture?
You have to kind of, I think
You'd have to go through and change the whole thing.
Okay, I just wanted
Yeah. Image by image. Okay, so I did not edit this font yet. I don't want this to be this Trochee font or whatever that is. I want it to be my font because I'm trying to keep it consistent. I want to change that spacing, which I keep forgetting how to do, to be just so my letters aren't running into each other too much. And then I would do the same for these, change the font on these, and make sure you change what it says as well. So my open house is at a 3-bedroom house. And I probably don't want to say perfectly suited for your family because that's kind of violating fair housing. So I might say like adorable 3-bedroom home near Chesterfield Town Center or whatever, whatever you want to be like this is the selling point of the home. Maybe being near Chesterfield Town Center isn't the selling point, but like whatever. Just pick out like your first sentence on your MLS description might be like, welcome to this charming Cape Cod, with all these great amenities, something very broad and appealing to people. What are you trying to sell them? So then this is where I did the most editing to this flyer. You could, copy some of your MLS description and paste it into this box. I prefer more of like a bullet point thing. So what I would do is delete that, add in some bullet points, and I'm going to say, maybe I say like
From a graphic
full.
artist standpoint, you have a filter of graphic.
Yes.
Why do you think bullets versus a paragraph?
Nobody's going to read a paragraph. People are not going to read a paragraph unless they are really already interested. They're going to look at the flyer, the pretty pictures, and they're going to move on. But if they see bullet points, they might be like, okay, these are the key things. They might skim your paragraph, but at that point, you might as well do the bullet points anyway to really get across, like, this is what I want you to know about this house.
So that template had that opening there.
That
Some
box.
of them don't have it in there.
Right. So then you kind of have to make it. So if the template doesn't have a text box, I would maybe take out, if there's no space for one, I would maybe take out one of the image sections.
Okay.
So like if
Yeah, when I was doing it, it was like, it was one line. The text thing had 3 different, and I kept pulling that one line. I'm like, I don't want one line. I wanted more room. So if I just put it in an image box, I can do bullet points.
Yeah, I would delete.
That was what I was
Yeah, delete one of the images, fill it with whatever color you want, whether you want it to be white or like a solid color, and then put a text box in there, and then you have more room. So I kind of put my bullet points in order of like walking through the house. Like that's just a personal preference. Maybe there's like a feature that's way more important to you than others. If that's what you want to put as your first bullet point, you can. So you can do, front porch, stainless steel appliances, outdoor entertaining space, and obviously get more descriptive here if you can. And then typically my last line, I do something like really convenient to whatever highway, whatever shopping center, whatever's nearby. That's just, again, personal preference.
So you don't put bedroom square footage, bathrooms, like that's not a thing you think?
I actually do. You can. I mean,
my personal preference is they already know that.
yes.
Like the app has told them that, or MLS has told them that. So I do see a lot of flyers that have
Square footage,
the
bedroom,
Yeah.
simplest
bathrooms.
stuff, but guess what? That's what they already know.
Right.
The flyer, in my perspective, needs to tell them something they wouldn't know normally through Zillow or through.
I agree.
So I think flyers and imagery and social media, I do see a lot of templating that has a little toilet and a little bathtub, and
Yeah.
that real estate space to me seems, well, no kidding, it's 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet, but just thinking from your perspective.
No, I think that totally makes sense. I think, again, they probably already know the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. They probably don't give a crap about the square footage because your average human is like,
They don't know what square
what
footage
does
is.
2,000 square feet mean? I don't know. Like,
And it follows with the logic makes you think, emotions make you act.
Yes.
So build the emotion. The emotion's going to come from the outdoor living space, the stainless steel appliances, the full front porch. It's not going to come from 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. It's either going to work or it's not going to work.
Yeah. I think flyers maybe should be less data driven and, like you're saying, more emotional, more, what are the glamorous things about this house? Like, what do I want to make you feel about this house?
What's the theory
But
of
in that same vein, I would avoid like the flowery language.
Yeah.
too fluffy,
Don't get too,
What do you think about having price on your flyers, not having price on your flyers?
I don't put price on my flyers
Right.
because
so what's your strategy for not putting price on your flyers?
It's a waste of money.
Well, yeah, I mean, the price could change. So then you've just printed a bunch of flyers that you can't use anymore. I want people to ask me questions about the house still, and probably their first question is going to be, how much is the house? So you want people to still talk to you. You don't want them to just read the flyer and know everything.
Okay.
That's
I
just-
agree with that.
Okay.
I spent $50 on flyers.
But if you're doing an open house for somebody else and you're just going to use that flyer one time,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I still don't, because
I
I'll
don't
use it.
either.
I may use that one flyer for the open house, but I may still go door knock after the open house. So I'll still use those flyers. That, hey, we had an open house this weekend. Sorry we missed you. Do you know anybody else that might be interested in this house?
Everybody, there's definitely a mixture of people saying you need it and not. I've always been doing the not. I've seen both ways.
I think there was just too many times where I expected a large number of people to show up, and then I had nobody show up. And it was just like right in the trash can, just like, or
Yeah.
my kids get it to draw.
That's a great idea. I never even thought about going or knocking after.
Yeah. I used to be a bar each time.
I will give it to someone.
Yeah. Somebody will have this.
Do you want it?
I mean, on my listings, I don't have price on it for that reason, but I do have a highlight of the property in a frame with the price on it.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
And I
good.
change
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense.
Like,
That
when
makes
I
sense.
drop the price, I'm like, okay, leave that frame on it for it.
Yeah.
Yep. I think the more questions people ask you, like the more opportunity you have to get their information. And obviously that's kind of why you're at the open house to begin with. So, if I have my MLS printout, because I need to make sure that I have that information in front of me to tell people when they do ask me questions, and I have my flyer, and someone's like, oh no, I want that. Well, great, I'll email it to you. What's your email address? I actually don't really, I mean, I if I'm working an open house for someone else, I'm going to ask their permission or what they want me to do. But I don't even really print flyers anymore. I just have one flyer like this in a frame standing on the kitchen counter for them to look at. And then if they're like, do you have a flyer? I'm like, yes, I will email it to you. Some people are like, oh. But, I mean, it works. They always, I mean, even if they have kind of that reaction, they still give me their email address. They're not gonna be like, oh no, never mind. Like, so.
If they say never mind, they weren't really a legitimate prospect.
True.
It's
Yeah.
a really good way to save money, but sometimes people are trying to see whether or not they want you to list their house.
That's true.
I mean, so they may think, oh gosh, she does really nice flyers and she hands them out.
That's
to people.
true.
So just be careful with that.
That's true. Yeah.
It is a really good way to save money.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the house.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's a-
No, that's a really good point.
What I tried for my last open house was I found people who want to fill out a complete assignment sheet. So I saw that there was no phone number. So I'm like, hey, I have a Keller Williams app. Can I have your cell phone number so I can text it to you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I got people to give me their phone number.
Mm-hmm.
The flyers are a good idea too. Then again, you have a pointer as well.
Well, it depends on what you're.
Yeah, I mean, I've had literally people
Some
hire me
people, I
because
mean,
of the flyer.
Mhm.
They literally come to the open house
Yeah.
and
And
send
some
out.
people are not tech savvy either, so you can tell them you're gonna email it.
Mm-hmm. So now you've got to also make sure that you have this. I typically use these little things at the bottom to put the information, the little like disclaimer. Now I can't remember what the disclaimer is. Like listing information to be verified. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Your property's listed by another agent. This is not solicitation for your business. There's like some basics.
Yeah.
The
So
good thing is that, like in Leeds, this you can kind of borrow them from the flyer. All the ones that are in the property.
something like that. And then this is where I put like, you can either put your phone number here. I put Keller Williams Realty.
Because you're not required to have the logo.
No, you just need the
You just have to have the physical name.
What about
physical name and the
house?
address and telephone number.
There's two little. Like,
So that's where I'm a little different. I would take this. I wouldn't highlight all this stuff. I mean, this is just again different opinion. I do all of this in a very small font, at the very bottom of the page.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
have the logo on it?
You don't have to have
No, you just need the broker's name or brokerage name, address, and telephone number.
The address and telephone number, you have to have on the flyer?
They got to know how to get in touch
And
with
it
the
just,
brokerage.
you have to, they have to know who the broker is and how to get in touch with them. And it doesn't tell you,
Me too.
it doesn't
What if
tell you,
So if I have Keller Williams login on a flyer in my open house or my listing and all my contact information with the office name and
that's,
is that okay or no?
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, okay.
You don't have to put the Keller Williams logo on anything.
That's how much you find right. I'm like, I don't want this red flag.
You don't have, no, I mean, if you legally have to have it written, so I have logos there, I have coaching through, he's added his, there's Keller Williams logo in there. I need to add the regular Keller Williams in there.
How do you?
So I can upload those, but I don't, so.
So you also have to add your little equal opportunity housing thing. Are those in here? Yeah, I can add them in here. Do you want them in here under logos? Yeah. I have to find them on my Dropbox.
I think with the equal housing, I don't think you're actually required to do that. I think those are just, it protects you.
Yeah.
Same thing with the realtor logo. You're not required to.
Yeah, it's just like a little. So like I might drag this on here. Where'd it go? Whoa, I don't want it that big. And then make it really tiny.
But like you said, you use the same flyer over and over again. You kind of get that your footer or your header or wherever you put that stuff, and just leave it there.
Yep.
And then the beautiful thing is your disclosures and your logos and all your junk there. You just change.
Oh shoot. Luckily Canva saves it for you while you're working on it.
When you have that template going on, you decide you want to make a flyer, it looks just like that. Pull up that one, and then you have like 3 pages of it. I guess I'm confused by that.
So
Does that make sense?
She
You know what
so
I'm
she'll
talking
create one, and then unfortunately it's got 3 pages. So
How does that?
You just delete that
you
page.
probably can go into her folder.
No, I was gonna say, no, I'm gonna very.
So look,
Just it.
I-
But literally,
Look.
so show.
watch.
She's gonna show you. She's
Yeah.
gonna show you right now.
So this is what I do. Say
I
I've
just did that,
I've sold this house. This house I've sold. I don't need this flyer anymore. I need to make a new flyer. I still like to keep the old one. So I copy it.
That's what you're saying.
I copy it.
But then it drops it down.
Well, see, now I have page 1 and I have page 2. Well, no, it is a trash can. Now that I have 2 pages. So I can delete one of these if I want, or if I want to keep them all. So I keep them all. So it's like if you scroll through my flyer, what I do when I'm getting ready to print, all pages, I just do page 1 because that's my most recent flyer.
So it's normal to
It's
have
not
a
bad.
file with a bunch of them, and you just have to pull up the right one, or if you want to start a new one, it's gonna add another page to it, and so you always have.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think it would
just
be
wondered
easier.
if, there was something I was missing there.
It's all personal preference.
You showed me how to put it in your folder.
We'll get her to show you that real quick.
When she gets to it.
Oh, okay. So one more thing I want to show you is I like to add my headshot to my flyers. So I'm gonna go in and I'll just do this one for now. Get my headshot, drag it on. I might drag it on here, but I really don't want just like this rectangular image with all this. Oh.
Do you have to add an image box for that, or no?
No, you just drag it and
drag
it onto there, but make sure you're not dragging it onto one of your other photos because it's going to replace that photo. So I really only want like my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go explore the elements as much as you can. There's photos, there's graphics, shapes, grids, frames. So like definitely explore all these elements because there's just so much you can do with this stuff. Little icons. So I want to put myself in a circle frame. I wonder. Yeah, I think I need to do the frame and then drag the image. So there we go. Now it's a circle. Looks way better. And then this is probably where I'd put like my contact information. Like I'd move all this over. And this is probably where I'd put Alexandra Lee, realtor, phone number, address of the brokerage or whatever, and whatever information I want to include, maybe my email address, just whatever contact information you want on your flyer, and just make sure you're, not overlapping your images and your information. It needs to all be very clear, have some white space around it. Like, don't clutter up your flyers because people are just going to be like, what am I supposed to look at here? Have, like, prioritize your composition on this flyer. Like, what's the first thing you're going to notice? You're probably going to notice this biggest picture. Then maybe you're going to notice the other three. Then maybe you're going to notice the text. Then maybe my head. Like, just think about, like, if you were picking up this flyer for the first time, what would you pay attention to? And now we can save it. So it should, Canva like automatically saves what you're working on, but you want to probably hit the save button just to be safe. Go home. You can scroll down to your designs.
That's tricky because Winston, all of us use this a lot. This is like a big fishing pond.
Yeah.
Be careful about it.
Yeah.
You need to put that in a folder pretty quick.
Immediately. Yeah. You click on the little dot.
Dot right there.
This little thing. Move to folder.
Find your name, Tom, or whoever. Yeah.
Which I don't have a folder, so I could make one.
Yep. Get your name.
And then add to new folder. So then now, on this left side on the main Canva homepage, I should be able to find my folder. I probably need to refresh it because I just created it. Now I can go to my folder and it will only be my designs in that folder. And there you go.
It tends to confuse people.
Yeah.
So the only thought I think with that is if you were to want, like, let's say you wanted to use Alex's design, you can go in there and pull it up, right? And then just make a copy, and then you'll do this exact same thing that you just did, is save it to yours. Otherwise, you're going to be marking up somebody else's flyer.
Yeah.
So go through that process just so.
Yeah.
It's just those triple dots.
I know.
Go back.
So if you click on that, you can make a copy.
Yep.
And it'll now say.
Now you've got a copy, and now you can go
Copy.
through and take that same thing and
And
take that
now
one and move.
Yeah. Move to folder, and then you would just select your folder. So yeah,
If you
don't
do that, then it messes theirs up.
yeah, don't delete someone else's flyer.
Or make a lot of edits to it because maybe they weren't finished with what they were
Yeah.
doing.
That's
And now they have to go back in there and wonder why the name's different.
In regards to size, like the flyer, whatever. Ashley was making a flyer for me today, and I wanted to print it off to see what it looked like in black and white. And when I printed it off, it wasn't a full flyer. Did she not do 100%, or you know what I'm talking about?
Like it wasn't a full 8.5 by 11.
Right.
She either didn't use the right template or didn't download the file correctly, or maybe when you were printing, you maybe hit scale. You have to make sure the scale is at 100%. There's a bunch of different reasons that could
They're
be.
probably on that right hand side when I was printing it. I needed to adjust something.
Mhm.
That happened to me a couple times. Like when I did a postcard, it came up weird, and then I redid it, and I don't know what I did, but it turned out right.
So what, I mean, everybody came here to kind of get something out of it. What questions did everybody have that maybe hasn't gotten answered?
Was that like too basic? Were you hoping to get more out of it?
I think it was a good.
It's simple.
No, it's not basic.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
It's easy, like,
I know.
I go to Michael Lewis and I'm like,
I know. It's easy, like a little
Yeah, this is,
in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
6.
and then I don't want to.
I'm gonna change it.
right.
Well, I think. What do you think the biggest things, the mistakes that realtors make with graphics? I think is important because Canva, yes, it is easy to use, but sometimes I think because it's so easy to use, they dump everything, including the kitchen sink, on these things, and then I read them or hear them or see them, and they got 65 fonts and 35 colors, and it's like the 10 Commandments in there.
Yeah.
So like that's the part I would say.
I'm going to make a little document, basic rules of graphic design here, and I'll invite Tom to it so we can get both of our thoughts in here.
Because I think it's almost the product is so easy to use
Mm-hmm.
that you keep putting stuff on there. And I think
Yeah.
it's like eventually goes, it's okay. That's not that. But I think the other thing is that it's hard, at least for me, is finding a template because I can't see the forest through the trees. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think you guys have more graphic background of what you want the end product to look like, but I can't see that yet. So when I'm looking at these templates, I'm like, because you see, okay, you said the long and the vertical, and you see a box here and a square here, and I'm like, and I'm halfway through a template going, I don't like this.
Yeah,
and then I have
that's
to trash it
hard.
and start over. So is there tips on like how, like there's thousands of templates on Canva. Like what do you think would
look
be,
for?
like, because there's so, I mean, I know it's
For me, it's you got to find the framework of that, because, and it's, you're right, it's, you see a flyer and it's got good imagery to it, you're naturally going to be migrating to that. You think that's going to be the right flyer for you because it's got
Then your
great
house doesn't
photography,
look
and
as
you put
pretty.
your pictures in there, it looks like garbage.
your house doesn't look like the $1 million house is the template. I mean,
So let's look through some of the, so looking through, it's really going to depend on the house too. If your like glamour shot of this house is like a detailed, like beautiful grand staircase, like that's probably going to be a portrait orientation photo. And if you want that to be your biggest photo on your flyer, then you need to find a flyer with a portrait orientation. Yeah. So let's look at some examples. I did this before and now I don't remember. Okay, what did I do? I went to create a design and then it was flyer. Yep.
You don't even have to do real estate. There's so many cool.
So like this template would be very similar to the one I just did. Like your largest image here is going to be a landscape orientation. So if the house that you're featuring is, if that image is landscape, yeah, then you want this type of image. This, however, is what I was talking about. You know, this is it's a portrait orientation. It's very tall and narrow. So that would be, like I said, a grand staircase if that's a very, tall, narrow photo.
Two templates, but based on if you've got a ranch house or more of a townhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
So you may have a couple of templates.
Yeah.
Because I also think we use the same template literally for every style of house. And I'll see a townhouse flyer, and then I'll see a ranch flyer. And
your ranch works perfectly, but your townhouse is cut in half. Yeah.
And in Canva, you can't mess the photo up. Like, you can't stretch it and shrink it the wrong way. I also see in other software, if you don't grab the corner or don't grab the middle of it, sometimes you can literally make your headshot photo look like you're skinny or fat or like. So the one thing about Canva I like is they can't mess that part. Like I can't.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason I like this type of flyer with these 3 square images is because those 3 square images, you can make a landscape or a portrait orientation photo work in those, because one of your photos might be your kitchen, which might be like landscape orientation, a very wide shot of the kitchen, and then your middle photo might be like a bathroom vanity, and that's going to be probably more portrait. So then you can really make either one of those situations work with these, or you can, let's see if I can do it on this one. I don't know, like, has it taken away the ability to ungroup things? Adjust. Lip spacing. Link. Lock. Position.
Definitely was ungrouped before.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know it'll do it with text. I didn't know it would do it with photos.
It used to. Well, anyway, like if you have 2 landscape photos versus these 3 square photos, like you could delete that and then put your 2, like you don't have to stick with that grid.
That's another thing is they have like that template thing, and then you go back into your elements and find or do your own thing.
Yeah, you could do like 2 side by side if you feel like this, if you need,
But the elements tool I think is good because it actually pre-does a template. Like if you did 2 photos, can't you?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, the elements does have
to now make sure those pictures are perfect.
Right.
But if you do the elements, just do 2 elements.
Yes. So if you go to the frames or the grids, you
And then
could.
can do all different type of ones, and then maybe you grab your two. I find that
Yeah.
easier because I struggle with getting the pictures perfect. Like one's too big, one's too small, one's long, one's short. I just use that grid thing
Mm-hmm.
and grab two or grab one, and I can just throw it in equally. Like those two there, and then grab it in, and then I can shrink it down.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So you can just grab all those elements.
And then you kind of make your own template, and then
Mhm.
when you do those two photos, now it'll
So
equally
now-
pull them in, and I don't have to mess with the daggone thing being not crooked, not straight. One smaller, one's larger. That drives me OCD crazy because my photos aren't the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So
There
see,
you go.
now it fixes that little.
Yeah, they're perfectly even. They're all aligned. Like that's another thing. You want to make sure you have lines. Everything's lining up nice and neat.
Also, everyone needs, like, there's a bleed on every, which means each printer has a cutoff of what they're doing. So sometimes people put their words so close to the edge.
That you lose some.
When you then go print it at Office Max and spend money, your words are cut off. So you need to leave a little bit of a natural space
Or on the edges. Mm-hmm.
because if you don't, it gets cut off, and then you're like, what? It looks fine on my computer, and then when it prints, it doesn't look right. So.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is where I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, where do I put my logos and everything else? So I would drop a logo in right over top of those photos, but making sure that I've got the transparent logo versus one that's got the color blocking on the back.
And also, when you download the flyer, so you're getting that download,
Yes.
it's in PNG. There's different; those mean different things, and I don't know that
Yes.
everyone knows what that means. But PNG, JPEG, PDF, those are different purposes.
Yes.
You just quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So PDF print, high quality, multi-page document, that's what you need for your flyer. But if you're getting ready to post this on Instagram or Facebook, you're probably going to go with JPEG, maybe PNG. What I suggest you do, if you're not sure, like just download, try one of the file types, open it up in whatever your computer's like viewer is, whether that's like Adobe Acrobat or like on a Mac, it's preview. Open it up. Make sure it doesn't look blurry or pixelated. If it looks blurry or pixelated, you've probably chosen the wrong file type. Do a test print. If it prints out blurry or pixelated, you probably chose the wrong file type. So I stick typically with PDF print or PNG because you see right there, those are the highest quality options.
What's the difference between
It's picture versus flyer, but picture versus piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like PNG has got to be Facebook because Facebook recognizes that as a picture.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to upload a PDF to Facebook, it's not going to do it because it thinks it's a piece of
Right,
paper.
there's a document.
those? I guess I was, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference between PNG and JPEG?
It's what it's
High quality
higher
and-
quality, small.
Mm-hmm.
So which one do you use?
I always do high quality.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spend a
So
lot of money for those photos, and then
Why do
they
we
have
have
blurry.
JPEG?
You have
smaller
some-
file types. Yeah. Like if there's
MLS photos are typically JPEGs.
Yeah, I know.
if you're uploading to a website that has like a 2 megabyte maximum file size, like a PNG might be too big of a file size. Yeah.
So for the flyers, you had said
PDF.
print, what was the second one you said?
high quality.
For images, PNG, high quality image.
Because I also see that too. Like they're literally printing or doing the wrong one, and they get frustrated because it will upload or whatever. Because you're using a picture when you should be a PDF, and a PDF when you're using a picture.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
that's it.
Yeah.
Can you end that recording and
Oh yeah. I just X out of it, right?